When most people think about autism, they think of social signs, small talk, missing sarcasm, literal communication, differences in eye contact, and meltdowns. But autism is neurological. It's linked to your entire system. So today, we're looking at 5 common physical signs of autism that people miss a lot, even when they're right there in front of you. This isn't diagnostic criteria, but these are more common in the autistic population than the general population. And the last one is so unique that it's almost always disconnected from autism. Let's dive in. Joint issues. Okay, this might sound like aging, but it's not. Think back to when you were a kid. Were you someone who could do oddly impressive things with your body? Like fingers bending into weird shapes, elbows twisting oddly, or knees doing things knees probably shouldn't do. Or maybe you weren't impressive at all. You were just dislocating your shoulder every other time you went outside. That was me. I grew up in the snow, and every year I'd go sledding and end up with a dislocated shoulder, just from falling out of the sled. Didn't really think about it, but it happened a lot, like multiple times a winter. And when I was boxing as an adult, it was a running joke with the coaches at the gym.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to worry about hurting Chris when you spar him. He'll do that on his own.
Yeah, more likely to injure myself than to get injured by other people. Like the time Debbie and I were working out and we were on the rowing machines. We're pretty competitive, so we decided to race. And a couple of minutes in, not only had I fallen off the rowing machine, but I dislocated my shoulder at the same time. Debbie might have won that one anyway, but let's just not tell her that. There's research coming out more and more that shows a connection to autism. Higher rates of joint hypermobility and connective tissue differences in autistic people. It's not a diagnostic criteria, and it's not universal, but it's a clear enough pattern that researchers are noticing it. And what a lot of people don't realize, hypermobility doesn't always mean flexible. It means connectivity differences that mean your muscles work harder to stabilize you, or just to move your body, but it's linked to chronic pain, long-term fatigue from just existing in your own body, and a body that feels more worn down than it should. I've had this too, and people told me, just relax, man. Honey, just rest more.
Don't overdo it.
Or my personal favorite.
Don't worry, it's part of getting older.
Yeah, love hearing that one. So you might have noticed that your body worked differently than other people all your life. And it's not the only thing you'll notice has always been different if you're realizing you're autistic as an adult. If that's you, grab our free autistic roadmap. We share what I wish I knew as an autistic person years ago. Hopefully it'll save you some time in the journey too. Links in the description. And now for another subtle sign that's common for autism. Weird pain thresholds. Were you the kid who didn't react when you got hurt? Hey, Dad, can I go outside and play? Bleeding, and someone else was more concerned than you were.
Yeah, no problem. Just make sure to, yeah!
Or the opposite.
Ooh.
A paper cut felt like your finger almost got sliced off.
Oh.
And the sting was all you could think about all day.
Oh.
Or the lights or sounds in a space made you want to throw up. And you might have. You might have been called dramatic or told you were exaggerating the pain, but it was real. Autistic people often have a completely different sensory experience from other people. That includes our perception of pain. We might have a really high pain threshold or a really low one.
Oh.
Or both, depending on the context. Studies show this is a real difference for autistic people. That means your nervous system literally registers pain differently. So when a doctor says,
So on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you describe your level of pain?
that feels like a trick question. What's your scale even mean? So this really high pain threshold, that's a clue that a lot of people miss. And it's linked to number 4, a little preview. Bang into things really hard, but don't even realize how hard until way later. I saw that with a lot of autistic kids I worked with. They were having a great time and didn't realize they were injured until the teacher was like, Johnny, you're bleeding out of your ears. Were you planning on telling anybody? Yep, didn't even know. No, not talking back, just literally didn't feel it. It's like the time we had boxes and boxes of books to ship. I told this story a long time ago in another video, but long story short, the guy who was paid to help us load all of these boxes of books decided he couldn't do it that day. So guess who got to carry 50 heavy boxes of books down flights of stairs and load them up into the truck? This guy. Anyway, did that, and the next night, I'm getting ready for bed. And Debbie is looking at me a little bit weird. I mean, I'm standing there without any pants on, and I'm not getting the look I'd usually expect from my wife. Honestly, she's looking pretty horrified, which makes me feel worried. Is there something wrong down there? So I look down, and my legs are purple and black, all up and down my thighs. Just tons and tons of bruises when I didn't even notice anything. How in the heck did I injure myself like that? Then I realized it was from packing up the boxes and letting them settle on my legs and bounce up and down the stairs with them. I didn't even know I was doing something that would bruise. But also, a lot of autistic people and people with hypermobility bruise easily or injure ourselves. But it would be a bruise gone for Debbie in a couple of days. But for me, it lasted weeks. So when Debbie's like,
"How did you do that without noticing?"
For me, I might be so into my head that I don't notice, or I just register the pain differently. But when I was in burnout, it was the opposite. Everything was pain, constant. I have other videos about that. I'll link those below. But for autistic people, our pain thresholds are often different from other people. We just never knew it. Facial expressions equal off. Over the top with facial expressions was a way to adapt to being told I always looked stern. Like when someone says something, I'll usually laugh, even if it's not laugh out loud funny. And sometimes I mistime that. Laugh at things I shouldn't laugh at. Over-exaggerate the smile instead of being called cold or distant. But the real reason for this is that autistic people's faces often don't match how other people think they should look based on how they feel. And also, our faces don't match our brains. Our faces don't get the message, at least for me.
So just all sorts of stuff I get to say now.
Dude, it's time to smile. I am smiling. No, you're not. Yes, I am. Ask Debbie if you're smiling. Kind of a weird question, but am I smiling right now?
Right now? Not that I can tell.
There's a real disconnect. That's because of different processing time, but also because of how our facial muscles work. Studies measuring facial muscle activity show that autistic people often activate facial muscles differently when expressing emotion, especially the muscles used for smiling and mirroring other people's expressions. Research also shows that facial reactions can be slightly delayed or less synchronized, which can make expressions look off, even when the emotion is there. Basically, this means that the feeling is there. It's just that the facial timing just runs on a slightly different schedule, or it shows up more subtly, which is being shown in new research too. Add into the mix that many autistic people experience alexithymia, or challenges with noticing or identifying emotions in the moment. And basically, our feelings are so stealthy that they're ninja-like, especially to autistic people. Muscle tension. I'm pretty sure my muscles haven't fully relaxed since I was born, and that started young. Part of that is because there's low-level stress in almost everything when you grow up autistic and don't realize you're different. That constant tension, holding in all the emotions and trying to fit in and be like everyone else because you don't want to get into trouble. Hiding stims, or trying not to move your body in ways that it wants to move. Hiding discomfort from sensory overload, or things that bothered you but didn't seem to bother anyone else. That leads to a lot of tension. And for me, as an undiagnosed autistic ADHD kid, I constantly had so much muscle tension in my shoulders and neck and head that my parents noticed, to the point where I was having posture issues and headaches a lot. Finally, my parents took me to a doctor who couldn't figure out what was wrong. I needed to relax more. I tried, but what does that even feel like? It got so intense that I was taken to do biofeedback and go to a bunch of other doctors. It was horrible. And what did I learn? Well, I didn't want to keep going to the doctor. So I learned to just say nothing, hide it, pretend I'm fine, but it didn't go away. And a lot of other autistic people have the same experience. We hold stress in our bodies, but it shows up with a lot of muscle issue and chronic pain. A lot of the time, that's from trying to push ourselves to live life in a way that doesn't work for our energy levels in autistic brains. But I learned to readjust and notice the signs, and it's gotten way better. Even working on improving flexibility now, which I'll admit, doesn't always look pretty. And this is actually one of the reasons Debbie and I created the Autistic Energy Reset. Because for the longest time, I thought the problem was that I just needed to relax more or push harder. Turns out, Neither of those really worked. Shocking. What I didn't understand back then is that my energy was getting drained constantly, way before I ever felt tired. So I'd keep pushing and then eventually crash, over and over and over again. In the Energy Reset Program, we break that down a lot more. What's actually draining your energy, how to catch it earlier, and how to adjust things so you're not constantly running yourself into the ground. If you're watching this right now and thinking, oh my God, he's talking about me, you're gonna wanna check out the link in the description. Unusual body movements. Sitting crisscross applesauce as a kid was really hard. I mean, I couldn't do it. And the ways I naturally wanted to sit were also weird. Now I know that a lot of autistic people move in different ways. We might be told we have a distinctive walk or move weirdly. Toe walking is also really common, especially for autistic kids. I had a student who always walked around like a ballerina. That was how she worked it. And honestly, we all loved it. And standing in very specific poses instead of just standing. That's also common. I've seen this with myself and with colleagues and kids I work with who are neurodivergent. But it's also popping up in research too. It's often related to sensory and proprioceptive differences. Basically, how your body senses itself in space. But it's also what feels good for your body. Sometimes it's stimming movements to help regulate. And sometimes it's just the position that feels comfortable, even if other people think it's odd. And maybe it is odd, but if it feels right, work it, because sometimes it's also necessary. So body movements that might have been dismissed as a phase, but you never outgrew them, or you try to copy other people's movements, even their walk, or you save them for home. Possibly had parents who told you not to do them too. Well, you might not do them now, or you adapt it. Maybe you still stand on the edges of your feet. Maybe you rock and shift your weight constantly because it feels good. Or maybe you love to spin and never got dizzy. Still feels pretty good as an adult too. A lot of these unique movements are more common in autistic people than the general population. We just never knew it. Learning about a lot of these differences and realizing you're not the only one who does them is something we talk a lot about inside the Auticate community. So if you're looking for more validation and support, you can check that out below. So autism isn't just about how you socialize. It's how you experience the world in a different way. That includes how your body responds to things, carries tension, and basically exists in a world that sometimes is a lot for us to handle. So which of these do you recognize? Toe walking? Being labeled clumsy? Or the internal physical sensations you just couldn't describe? Tell us about those in the comments, and keep watching for more on Your Unique Brain.
How did you?
Everything was wrong with that one. It was bad.
I haven't had enough coffee yet.